Shout. Always Irish. Shout. Always Irish. Shout. Sometimes it's good to just yell about football. What are you doing? Don't do this to me, Harry! The Ohio State. It's Ohio State! What do you mean, the? It's a poison! I almost stroked out and died over it. I'm glad to be at the party. I'm mad we're this late. You ain't a captain of nothing but a sinking ship! That helps the defense without them even doing a damn thing! Doing a damn thing! The call-in line. 312-988-15. You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Irish. Yeah. That's right. We're on a holiday weekend, folks. Holiday weekend indeed. Oh, it's good to see everybody here. Look at all the normal folks. Mark with glasses. The commander's causing trouble already. Phil's here, and he asked if I've ever golfed at a certain course in Michigan, and then I responded with, I don't cross that state line. It's just a moral boundary, okay? I don't cross the state line. Jay Carr's here. Dr. John. Dr. John, you came up at the Kennedy family dinner last night. Daughter at a gymnastics thing, and mom and Always Irish Senior and wife were with us. We had some dinner, and you came up in the discussion there. All good things, I promise, but we had some fun with that. It's good to see you here. Jason, Jay, look at everybody. We got a Rudiger here. It's always good to have a Rudiger here, even though it's the one who has all of Johnny's early 20s skeletons in her closet. So I got to stay on Angela's good side, or she'll start telling stories. Or worse, she could share the evidence. She could share the pictures and the videos. She wouldn't do that, though. I got stuff on her, too. Don't let her fool you like she didn't have nothing going on in college. It's good to see everybody here. Tex ND, good to see you. Everybody. The Chief. I live in Michigan. Am I evil? No. Because we need a certain amount of our people in Michigan, just like kind of as these barriers of sanity spread out throughout Michigan of like we need our plants, right? Like we need some of our people there to try and be normal and like functioning members of society. You need some of that. And so if you're a Notre Dame person born there, stuck there, or whatever, that's a little different. I give you flex on that. But as for me, I'm not going in there if I don't have to. I'm not going there if I don't have to. It's just a personal thing. I'm not doing it. This came up on Twitter the other day, by the way. 219. I think Commander Luke's the first one on the call. So let me get through a couple things. Commander, hang in there, and we'll bring you up. God only knows what we're going to get. Oh, schedule. Tomorrow, Zachary's going to do his commitment, and we're going to do a response video to that. Notre Dame feels very, very good to where if it doesn't go that way, something went horribly wrong. We're going to do a response video to that announcement tomorrow. I'm thinking maybe we go live Sunday night. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I got something to do tomorrow night. I got a fish fry I'm going to. There's bound to be some beers drank there, like whatever. So I'm thinking maybe I could just enjoy that and not be thinking about having to do this after and just cut loose a little bit tomorrow night. I'm thinking Sunday night, maybe since everybody has Monday off, I'm thinking maybe we do a live show Sunday night and people, it's kind of a Saturday night when you have Monday off work for the holiday. That's kind of what I'm thinking. John at a fish fry. Unbelievable. All right. I knew that was going to come up. Here's the fish I eat, bro. I ain't eating. You ever see like those fancy plates? I think it's European or something. Those fancy plates of like wood, and they like hand you it, and it's just like a bass sitting there with it looking at you. It's just like a full fish, scales, everything in the eyeballs following you around. Bro, never in a million years am I going to eat that fish while it's staring at me. You're out of your mind. You are out of your mind. How could anybody get handed a wood plank with the dead fish with the tail and the scales, and its eyeballs are looking right at you. It's got its big old mouth. I don't know. I don't care how many spices and a lemon slice you put on it. Who's eating that? That ain't my style. The only fish I'm eating is like the fried fish that's battered, you know what? I'm breaded and battered fried crappie or something. This guy fishes, and then saves all the fish and freezes them, and then he cooks them all for Memorial Day, whatever. I'm just saying I can eat that because it's breaded and fried and like what it's not fish-like and it's crispy. Bro, I do not understand that whole the luxury of here's a wood plank with a full fish staring at you and you're gonna eat it. You're out of your mind. Never in a million years. Never in a million years. I can't understand who would be, unless you're a caveman. How are you like, oh, that looks like what I want for dinner. I'm eating something staring right at me while I'm eating it. Not even sure the thing's dead yet. Anyways, this kind of fish I can actually eat. It's fried, it's breaded. I think it's crappie fillets and they have whatever. This is edgy for me. We'll see how it goes. So we're going to do that, but I'm thinking that'll be the plan. We'll do a response video tomorrow to the announcement. And I think hopefully we like the news. Plan on Sunday night, late night show, pull out a couple cold ones, crack the lids, right? Do that. And then maybe we could all just relax on Monday, whatever. Okay. So that's kind of what I'm thinking the plan is. I'll let you know. Never in a million years, if you were marooned on an isolated tropical island in the Pacific, you would eat it happily, John. But I'm not. Okay? I mean, if we're going to start doing castaway stuff, then yeah. I mean, desperate times call for desperate measures. If we're doing a Tom Hanks castaway situation, me and my best friend, the volleyball or whatever, like, fine, but I ain't in that situation. So I'm not eating this fish staring at me. Don't even get me started on the last time I'm in Florida. You go to all these cool bars on the waterfront, on the inlet, and you know what I'm saying? All these cool scenes right on the water. And they got a raw oyster bar in the bar. I'm sitting outside drinking my beer, listening to the guy play his guitar. I go through to take a leak. Bro, it smells like a dam that has stale water and fish. It's a raw oyster, but it looks like you just dredged the bottom of a lake and then charged a bunch of old people a bunch of money to eat it. What are you talking about? It looks like snot in those shells. Oh, I cannot. Any of these old people in Florida, you should see them light up. I mean, these 98-year-olds with all the money in Florida. Oh, we got to eat some of that. Slurp, slurp. Oh my God. I can't handle it. All right. I want to see John on Survivor. I'm going to call in Portillo's and have him drop it on the other side of the island. And I'm going to go eat my beef on the other side of the island and come back. I'm going to figure something out or I'll just die of starvation. How about that? Fear factor? Dude, bro. No. I could do the fear factor like stunts and crap. But once you get into where they're like, now you're going to eat this sheep brain and bull testicles, bro. I don't need the money that bad to embarrass myself on national TV for money. I don't need it that bad. Okay. I don't need it. I'm going to order a cheese pizza, right? I'm just going to order a cheese pizza and bow out of this thing. Okay. And the funniest, if you want to talk about, God, you never know where this show's going to go. It's so dumb. I love it. I just can't. I just can't. Gordian. I'm just gonna sidestep that comment. Eric. Jeez, you guys don't do this to me. I'm ignoring some of these. Don't do this to me. You're putting me in a bad spot. I'm skipping it. We're going to something else. We got a couple calls now. So you never know where this chat's gonna go. I'm not eating any of that weird stuff. I'm sorry, I'm just not. I have simple tastes. I could live in jail. Just give me bread and water. That's fine. Nobody needs anything more than that. Like whatever. Okay. Seriously, I hate to tell this country, bro. I eat to live. I don't live to eat. It's a big deal in this country. Okay. Eating is a necessary inconvenience, not something I ever look forward to. Like, it's annoying. God, I'm hungry again. I got work to do. I got the lawn to mow. I got to eat something to keep going. It's annoying. Like, I don't, it's just a required thing. All right. I got a couple things here. Number one is amateurism is dead. Just like that fish on the wood plank, amateurism's dead. The NCAA, rather than furthering down the path of doing all the legal stuff, and then the result being worse for them in this big national lawsuit, they settled to minimize how bad it was going to be. Bottom line, okay, NCAA loses usually every time they go to court, they lose. And they were losing this one. So they put an end to it instead of it dragging out and being worse and costing them and everybody else, all the member schools, more money. Amateurism is dead. So the schools are going to have to pay out millions and millions and billions is what it adds up to, the NCAA and the member schools, for past compensation going back to 2016 for missed NIL opportunities. And then a model's being set forward where these guys are going to make money just like everybody on the roster is going to make money no matter what moving forward. I'm going to be totally honest with you guys. I am not a lawyer. I am having trouble fully digesting all of the details in some of this lawsuit and what it means and what it doesn't mean and what it's going to do to the whole landscape. I know Andrew was talking about it and he's on the line here. Maybe we could talk through some of it. It's a big deal. Essentially, amateurism's dead. And it looks like if you're in a Power 5 or Notre Dame's included with, that's one thing I am confident in. Everywhere I read, Notre Dame is sued and is lumped into the Power 5. It's kind of like the powers that be are in it. And so Notre Dame's included in whatever this is. I read that multiple places that Notre Dame's on all this stuff. So you're going to have to back pay for missed NIL opportunities going back to 2016. And then moving forward, you're going to be able to opt in to pay out. I think I saw it was $21 million a year for the next 10 years. And if their average revenues go higher, they could adjust that up to pay out from there for future people. And the NCAA is supposed to pay out some of this. And then the member schools are supposed to pay out some of this. In any middle level school or lower, I don't know how they're going to pay it. They're going to be operating in the negative. They don't have the budgets. If you're Ohio State, you have the budget. These middle and lower tier schools, I don't know how they're going to operate. Also, another additional complication is this is just complicated, man. Another complication is this applies to like all athletes and stuff. So it isn't just football. There's got to be other accommodations about how to pay out to honor Title IX. So you're not giving all the football players all the money and none of the women's volleyball players the money. But the men's football is bringing in all the money and the volleyball team isn't. Amateurism's dead. And we just need to figure out how Notre Dame's going to navigate all this. The article I read, I'm going to bring up some of it. The article I read said teams are going to have the option to opt in to pay the $21 million a year or whatever, moving for like 10 years, moving forward to back pay to 2016. Okay, so you can opt in or what? if you don't opt in, then you're done being competitive in football because no player's going to go there and make no money when they could go somewhere else and make guaranteed money. So, like, yeah, you can opt in or out. And if you opt out, then you're done being competitive in football forever. And you're never going to land a good recruit ever. You're going to have a team full of Johns. And you ain't winning diddly poo. You ain't winning diddly poo. So we got ourselves a situation on our hands. This is a big deal. Amateurism is legally now officially dead. Now, they don't want to call them employees, though, because then there are other financial obligations and protections that they would be warranted. So we're trying to thread the needle here where they don't want them to be employees because then that opens up a lot of other things they don't want to open up. But you got to pay out this money or you're not competitive. You're done. You're done. You're done. You're done. You're done. So maybe the final result of this is maybe this is what initiates the breakoff between the haves and the have-nots in college football. And the teams that aren't going to have this, be able to pay this out and create their own smaller league and create a playoff just for them in the G5 or whatever they're going to do with the. And then the big boys are on a scale where they're paying people the same amount based off this lawsuit. And then those teams go and create their own thing. Because there are teams that are not going to be able to pay this. The budget isn't there. They're going to be operating in the negative, compounding negative. And there's no reconciliation for that. I heard some of these negotiations, they let people give statements or whatever on both sides. There were group of 5 ADs and power players in there going, if we're going to do this, we're done. Like we can't compete. We're not going to be able to pay. We're done. We're just done. Like it's over for us. So I want somebody who totally understands the legalese here better than I do. Try and break this down and let me know what I'm not interpreting or whatever. I admit I'm a little uncomfortable going over all this because I'm not a lawyer and there's a lot of legal crap in here and I'm not going to act like I'm a lawyer. All right, we're going to do a couple chats, do the super chats, and then we'll go to the calls and we'll see what we get there. So let's welcome everybody in. Bob Kelly, good to see you. Brian's dad, hopefully not for you. 191 days to USC. Plenty of time to get their fingernails painted. Man, 191 days. You know, why can't, this has been bugging me. What doesn't bug me, though? Why can't, when Notre Dame plays USC at home, why can't it also be the last weekend of the year? Like Michigan and Ohio State, it doesn't matter where it is. It's the last weekend of the year. Why do we go there on the last weekend of the year? But then when they come to us, it's always in mid-October with perfect weather. I don't want that. Why can't I? Is it because they're in a conference and they have obligations and we're not or whatever? BS. Why? I want them later in the year. And it's been bugging me. I don't know why we agreed to have them in the. It should just be if we're doing the last weekend of the year, we're doing the last weekend of the year. You could play UCLA the second to last week, but we're Notre Dame. Sorry. Why do we give them the benefit when they come to our place? They get 70-degree early October weather. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And you know what else I don't like? I don't like it ruining the Kennedy Thanksgiving, the years that we go to USC 2 days after Thanksgiving or whatever, and we're all sitting there nervous about what the hell's going to happen. Ruin my dinner. By the way, I ain't eating that cranberry sauce stuff. That's weird to me. I don't know what that. It's like fancy Jell-O or something. I ain't doing that for Thanksgiving. Mark with glasses. 99 days till kickoff. 99. We're under 100. Nikki Dean, good to be heard and seen. Great to be here on a Friday. We'll check in after my 10 a.m. meeting. Everybody be nice today. Oh, yeah, you know this group. Mark with glasses, tuition's about to go up. I know that much. What is it? $85,000 a year out of state now for Notre Dame? Something, it's in the ballpark. It's an unbelievable amount. You better get that ROI, baby. Phil, what's going on? Phil's the one who did that golf course in Michigan. Nope, don't cross that state line. They have a warrant out for me, I think. I'm not allowed to go in. It's not safe. The Ohio podcast, oh boy. Eric, he passed his first kidney stone yesterday. I wouldn't wish that on my work me except for Jim Harbaugh. Set me to my knees, gave me tears, and put me in the ER. Eric, God bless you, man. God bless you. That is yikes. Good luck. Ugh. I don't even want to think about it. Mark with glasses. Sounds like salary cap's $20 million. That's the revenue sharing limit. So schools got to tell donors to forget NIL and give it to them to give to the players. Yeah, there's a lot to figure out. I did see where they're starting to request that the collectives be brought in-house, meaning like in the athletic department, somehow associated, not just like a random collective of fans making pay-for-play money on the side. I don't know. Pete, welcome to Notre Dame. New AD, Pete Bavacqua. You got a big job on your hands, and none of this is easy to navigate, and you got to make it work for Notre Dame. Maybe somebody's going to argue this is good for Notre Dame. If there's like an amount that everybody's got to pay out and Notre Dame has the money, then maybe you feel like it evens the playing field a little bit for Notre Dame or whatever, because everybody's going to be paying out these similar amounts to that threshold, and everybody should pay the same amount. I don't know, man. Somebody who totally understands the legalities needs to call or figure it out or tell me the answer or something. I bet John does not eat the tater salad. No. Bro, Nick. No. I'm not doing that. Number one, I ain't eating salad. Do I look like a rabbit? Okay. Lettuce tastes like crunchy grass, and I'm not eating that. Number two, cold potatoes? No. Are you out of your mind? I'm not eating. I don't understand the concept. I don't eat potatoes cold. Like, what is this? The famine all over again? I'm not doing that. So no on the tater salad, on both the salad and the tater part. You know what always cracks me up? These people. I'm eating a salad because I'm trying to be a good eater and in shape or whatever. And I'm eating a salad instead of this double cheeseburger at Rick Donald's. Bro, if you look at the calories and the junk you put on it, 90 pieces of like fried chicken, and then you're dumping all that salad dressing on. And some of those salad dressings smell like barf. Bro, it'll almost make me gag. There's a certain salad dressing, it like reminds me of the smell of like barf when your kid barfs or something. Awful. Not doing it. No. Tuna salad. Are you out of your mind again? Bro, when you smell tuna, you're like, what died in this facility, bro? I start looking around. What died? That old lady on one of my flights from Florida back to Midway opened up a Tupperware thing, and she had tuna and eggs in there, bro. Granny, are you out of your mind? Give me a break. Andrew, I wonder if the lawsuit will force ND into the Big Ten. I don't know, man. I don't know. Jay Carr, I'm going to be call-in lines are filling up. So we're going to, right when I get done catching up with this in the super chats, we're going to throw it over to the callers, see what you guys have. I'm going to be listening to John behind the wheel this morning. Don't make me laugh and crash, please. I don't want that to happen to you. Keep you 10-2, baby. 10-2. Don't let me throw you off. Teams like my hometown, Andrew, teams like my hometown school, San Diego State, are totally finished. It's a great day to be a 4-star recruit and a bad day for the middle-of-the-road group of 5 players and athletes. Yeah, there's going to be a break-off. You got financially, there's the divide was always there, like perceptually and in the numbers. Now there's a clear divide here. Haves, have-nots, and this is like the final dagger, I think. I really do. I think you'll see a lot of schools get rid of football. It's already so expensive. If you're not making revenue, you're not going to be able to do it. You're not. Eric, get to my stuff whenever you feel better, man. And I'll send you a couple other things that were in my mind hot and I wanted to work on. And then you spread them out whenever you need to, every few weeks or whatever. But when I'm hot on an idea, I want to get it out. So I'll send it to you and then it's in your hands and you do whatever you want to do. This is your baby and I respect that. Jason Smith, I don't want to build a team with the checkbook only. It's just everybody is. Under this, everyone's going to. You know what else I don't understand, folks? Why does the lawsuit only go back to retroactively pay out through 2016? That's what I don't understand. If we're going to go back in time, this is the old Reggie Bush argument. This is the same argument. Getting his Heisman because the rules have changed now. But you broke the rules that were there then. I don't understand. Because we adapted now doesn't mean you didn't break the law then. So that's what I don't get. It only goes back to 2016 to retroactively pay players out. What about 2015? I don't understand. What about those guys? Their name, image, and likeness matter too. What about guys in the EA Sports video game for 20 years? I don't understand how 2016 is a delineation point. I don't understand how that works. Conceptually, I don't understand how you could retroactively go back because we're adapting now and apply now to then. I don't get that legally. Like, things change. That doesn't mean that laws that were laws weren't laws when you did them. I don't get it, man. I ain't smart enough for this. I'm just not. Jay Lehman, one of the nicest people I've ever met. Kathy says, the end of college football. Wow. That's brutal. Crab season. Okay. Hope you're eating them. What up, though? Yeah, good to see all you guys. Jay Carr, what's going on? Tex ND, it's good to have you back. Conundrum, good to have you back. Roger Dodger, I miss all you guys. The cedar plank, is that what you're talking about? Whatever, bro. I'm not eating nothing that's looking at me. It's just not going to happen. It's just not. All right, let's get caught up here. Super chats. $20 holler, Tom Chris. Good morning, John. Go Irish. Oh, I appreciate that. Eric, there he is, my lawyer. My lawyer is here. Eric, break the lawsuit down. Send me an email or find a time where you could call and I can interview you, or you could hop on a stream and break down, read the lawsuit or whatever as a lawyer and tell us what the hell it means and what the actual practicalities of it all are. I would love that. Okay. If you're on the line, we're going to get to you, okay? There's 4 or 5 calls here on a Friday. We're going to get to all of you. 219, you're on the line. What's going on?
That's right. John.
That's right, on a Friday morning, man. What's going on? So wait, this is Commander, right? I want to set the stage. This is the Commander, right? I want to make sure I know who I'm dealing with. It's you, right?
Let's go, John. You know it's me.
Okay. I won't. Well, but the crowd doesn't. Wait, the crowd doesn't know. So I wanted to make sure they know. Okay, what's going on, man? Are you excited for the long holiday weekend? You're going to crack some cold ones? What are you going to do?
Well, of course I'm going to. But there's a song that means a lot this weekend, Memorial Day. It's an old country western song. The name of it is All Gave Some Gave All.
Mm.
That's a very powerful song.
Yeah, and you know what?
For the families of the warriors who did not come home.
Yeah, and
everybody's forgot about them.
I'm
glad the country screwed it all up.
I'm glad that you mentioned that. I always bring it up around Memorial Day and 4th of July. I always make an effort to remind people what those days are about. It's not just a random day off work for you to drink your face off in the backyard. There is a meaning behind both of those occasions, and I'm glad you brought it up. Good point.
Well, as I sit up here on 294 and just look around at, what a mess.
Yeah.
I'm brought back to thinking about Notre Dame. One thing that I'm realizing as I listen to your show and your videos that I don't even know if you realize it yet, but we have a new standard for Notre Dame football, and that is the Brian Kelly standard. He's the measuring stick.
In what?
Okay. Do you
Okay.
agree? Do you think that's fair, or do you think that don't even know? No.
I think that could be interpreted two different ways, right? Like, do you mean the standard? It's not the standard as far as if you do as good as him, then you did a great job. I disagree. That's the standard, right? Because we never won a major bowl game. We never won a major bowl game with Kelly. How could that be the Notre Dame standard? How could that be the Notre Dame standard if we never won it?
Okay, no. The Notre Dame standard is championship, and there is no other. There's nothing.
Okay,
else.
All right. I follow you on that.
So let me clarify it. Yeah, let me clarify that. But for Marcus Freeman, for his coaching career, I think that like I said, I realize that Brian Kelly is going to be Marcus Freeman's measuring stick. You either going to what's going to be based off success or failure is, can Freeman at a minimum duplicate what Kelly did? And no, Kelly didn't win no major bowl games. He didn't win no championship, but he did win 10 games. 5 out of 6 years? I think that's the greatest stretch. Of course, again, not winning anything that matters, but as far as win total, that would be the best stretch Notre Dame had since you go back, 100 years. Notre Dame had not won.
Yeah, I could isn't it natural in the situation we're in? Don't you agree it's natural that the first thing that you would compare the new era to is the last guy? I get that in concept, that it's very natural to compare the last regime to the current regime. I mean, I agree with you on that, but don't you agree that we got to hope for bigger time results from Freeman than Kelly to get us further?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Now let me ask you this.
Yes, you are right. You're right.
Let me ask you this. This is I struggle with this, man. Let me ask you this. How do you handle in your mind, if you're going to look at it this way, between those two regimes, how do you put the new factor that the playoffs changed and all of the scene is different than it was under Kelly? How do you translate that the standards over, because now there's an expanded playoff and it's not the same setup it was with Kelly, right? It's a totally, the way we're going to gauge a good year or not is totally going to be different moving forward. How do you make that calculation in your fan life?
You can still win 10 games a year under the,
Yeah.
Like I said, if Kelly is the measuring stick, which, like it or not, he is for Freeman anyways, not for Notre Dame football, but for Marcus Freeman, Charlie Weiss didn't do it like Kelly. Willingham, Davey, none of those guys did. So but so you can still win 10 games. So how would I measure that with the new playoff system? I wouldn't even worry about the playoffs. Get in. Okay, first off, get into the playoffs.
Right.
You do that. You get into the playoffs. So 5 out of those 6 years, Kelly won those 10 games. Chances are Notre Dame at 10-2, they probably can get in. Not for sure, but probably.
Dude, I agree with you.
5 out of them.
I agree with you, man. I don't think 10-2 is a guarantee Notre Dame's in every year in this new format. I genuinely am not sure. Some years, I'm not sure 10-2 does it every year.
No, but what I'm saying, to surpass Kelly for Freeman, which is going to, like I said, ultimately be his success or failure, you got to win. You got to get into the playoffs. You got to be winning 10 games a year and consistently get into playoffs. And you got to do that for 5, 6, 7 years, which I don't think he'll be here that long if he's winning like that. He'll be at Ohio State, or in the NFL as a coordinator.
Ooh.
But, if that's going to be, so it can still be measured apple to apple. You win 10 games a year and you do that for 5, like I said, that amount of time, and you're making the playoffs and stuff, then I'm saying you've at least equaled what Kelly did. Even if all you got to do is win one playoff game, and now you can pass him, right? If you got that longevity, and all you got, you go in there and lose every year.
But wait,
in 1 year, win
follow
one
me, though.
playoff game, and boom, now you surpass what Kelly did.
You surprise me, though, Commander, because the answer I thought you were going to give is, I'm not going to give Freeman as much credit if he sneaks into the playoff at 10-2 and then wins a playoff game. It isn't going to mean as much as it would have under Kelly, because it would be the top 4 and you would have had to done more to be there and then beat a better team. I thought you were going to try to find a way to maybe minimize a playoff win. Expanded playoff. I thought you were going to go that way on me.
That would be unfair for the
that's very very fair of you, actually. Very fair of you. Now listen, here's the other thing. I have my beef with the previous coach. He did a lot of good things at Notre Dame, man. He really did. He stabilized things, got a lot of infrastructure done behind the scenes. It ultimately didn't get as far as anybody wanted, but I will always, as much as I criticize Kelly, I credit him for a lot of things. He got Notre Dame into a better position they had been in since Lou. And that is to be respected and appreciated. But the relationship ran its course from both ends for a lot of reasons. I think that's absolutely fair.
Yeah, and now is the time to turn the tide. If you're Marcus Freeman, you got 99 days.
Yep.
To prepare.
Yep.
And to coach the players up, to coach up Jackasaw. I don't know if he can get somebody in there that can teach him some techniques and Tosh Baker to, watch some video of what these guys are doing that's going to be coming, from A&M's defensive ends. Because they're going to need help.
I'm telling you,
need
dude,
as much coaching and technique, and when it comes time to turn it on, you got to be fully loaded. You got to be. When I say turn it on, adrenaline. You also got to be well practiced. You got to have everything's got to be just right.
You know what
moment.
Yeah, you're right. You know what I don't appreciate is every single day you putting it in my mind of Texas A&M's defensive front swarming Notre Dame's new offensive line. You put it in there every day, and now it haunts me at night. God. It haunts me at night. I can't fall asleep playing it in my brain.
Dude, I don't want to see those A&M guys standing over Leonard looking down on him when they just threw him on his back. And the ball was flying in one of their corners.
No. Don't even put this in the ether. Don't put this out in the ether. Don't do this to me. Don't put it out.
Then that's what I'm saying. We got time to prepare.
Yeah.
You're going to have these coaches. This is a big moment. And who we got. I don't know who the line coach is. I'm not sure. I don't even know who the line coach is, but I hope he knows what, I hope he's on it.
Yeah. And also it's not only Rudolph, the O-line coach, but it's also Denbrock, because I think Denbrock has got to make a plan as far as if we're getting overwhelmed at the line, what do we go to next to slow that down? And let's be honest, you'll appreciate this. I saw a chart yesterday, and it had Mike Denbrock listed as the highest paid offensive coordinator at 2.1. I think it was 2.1 million or whatever. The highest paid offensive coordinator in the country or whatever. I expect big time results. And I expect if we're paying a guy at that level competitively nationally, then I expect him to be able to put together plans, maximize what we can do, and move the ball up and down the field this year. Okay. That's what we're paying you for.
I've seen that too, and that's obviously the expectations Notre Dame has if they're paying him all that money. That can also go to motivate Marcus Freeman to say, hey, I'm here too. I'm not the highest paid. I'm not even in the top 30 paid head coaches but yet we hire in this offense coordinator, and they hire him. You know, they pay him all this money. I want my respect.
Yeah.
And and use that to motivate him, to motivate his team, to motivate his coaches to go out there and get the results that everybody wants.
Yeah, it's going to be a big year. And I understand people's anxieties. I understand the worries. I know all that. It's just, it's hard for me to see Notre Dame reaching their goals if they lose week 1 this year. It really is to me. You could turn it around and go 11-1 and win 11 in a row afterwards. But if you drop that one, all momentum's gone. Faith in the people that have faith in Freeman, it's going to be gone. Like that is the big needle. And I'm already sick of talking about it. We have 99 days to go, man. I'm going to be strung out by that time, bro.
You lose week 1. You lose week 1. And, we've seen Freeman. Yeah, he's got some wins and stuff. He's won some games. He's done, above average. He's won 9 games. That's pretty good for most programs. But you go out there, we've seen him when he was, when he started out 0-3, and then some of the other stuff, with the California game and the Stanford and some of these other games that he had in the second season when things weren't going good. And you've seen it and you heard it in his voice. He was shaken and he wasn't comfortable at all. And he was rattled and he was doubting himself. And so you lose week 1 and that might start to creep in on him. It's
tough.
And, that's not good. That's not going to be good.
It's tough. You got to be ready.
You lose week 1 and you're probably screwed.
Well, you got to be ready for that moment. And you know what else, too? That problem's not going away because you play Texas A&M the year after at our place in week 1. And yes, it's going to be at home, which helps, but Elko will have 1 full year to retool the roster, get everything situated. And however good A&M is going to be when we play them this year, I guarantee you they're going to be way better than next year, even though it's at home. So this week 1 big needle moving project, that's a 2-year deal. So this isn't going away, and Notre Dame needs to win, man.
It's now or never. Turn it loose.
I mean, you need it.
When that time comes, be ready and use this time wisely, and let's get ready.
Can I give you something else that I think you would appreciate? And it has been on me. Andrew, you're coming up next. Hang with me, 773 as well. Something else that I wanted to touch on. It's been on my list, but we've gotten busy and I haven't covered it. Adam, what's going on? Freeman, what did Freeman say when he took the job? What was his line about what he wanted the program to be? We're going to be an O-line and a D-line driven program and team. That is what Freeman himself has said multiple times. Michigan did a good job with that framework, and look at what they did last year, even though they cheat. You have a sales call, Andrew. I'll get to you. I want to get you on. That's what he said. We need to hold him to that. You always ask me to hold Marcus Freeman accountable. If you're out there publicly saying the engine of our team is going to be O-line and D-line driven, then I need you to back that up. So that means your O-line this year can't let you down. And the D-line's going to be good this year. But that means when you get into next year and all these recruits you've been getting, they better be good enough too. I'm just holding him to his own account. That's what he said the vision of his own program was. We need to hold him to that. Those aren't my words. Those are his words. Those areas can't let us down with recruiting, development, and the ultimate results. So I think you would appreciate that. I'm trying to hold him to that.
Well, I think that there's a good tackle who came in. I don't know, maybe he's not here yet in the 24 class. I think he's like a top 5 tackle. I think he's in 24, or he might be in 25. If he's in the 24 class and he's the best choice, then put him in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
put these guys in. If they're ready, play them.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. And then you have that big discussion of, do you go with raw talent, upside, but low experience, or less athleticism, but more experience? Then you end up in that position of what is your risk aversion like, or how much risk are you willing to embrace from a younger guy that has more physical gifts but less experience over an older guy, but he isn't as athletic or good? That's always a tricky thing for coaches to navigate. Commander, anything else on the way out? Good call. I want to get a couple more folks.
Philosophy. Yeah. So the only other thing I have on the way out is, you're talking about all the money and all that stuff. Hey, I don't care. I learned a long time ago, there's only one bank account that matters to me, and that's mine.
That makes sense. That's a good way to go about it. Yeah.
As far as these other guys, as far as these college football players wanting their money, hey, go try to get it. If you can get it, get it. But I don't care if you do or you don't, because it ain't my money. But if you want to do it, go for it.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Hey, Commander, safe travels, man. 294 is easy to navigate, and sometimes it's not. Safe travels on a Friday, man. Okay.
Yes, sir. You too.
Take care now. Have a good holiday weekend. Check me out Sunday night if you drinking a little bit. Maybe check me out then, man. Take care. Now, here's the deal, you guys. That wasn't that bad. Commander, he's a way better troll texting things in the chat than he is calling. Like, I'm being honest. That was I had nothing wrong with that call, really. So, like, it's just weird because the chat is a certain tone, but then when he calls, it's not like that. Like, I actually kind of enjoyed that discussion. I had no problem with that. Yeah, it's like a split personality thing. So I don't know. Andrew Gilmore, RIP Peter Gilmore, killed in Vietnam in 1969. I also had relatives there. I've heard their stories. Just a wild situation in a time, and it affected a lot of people, and keep those people in your minds. The ones who passed and also the ones who made it back, but live with some of what happened there every single day. Every single day, the people I know that were in that war that made it out live with some of what they did, some of what they saw, and the whole thing. Keep that in mind on Memorial Day. Remember why we're here. And it ain't for you to drink beer and cook out, okay? Andrew's coming up, then he's got a sales meeting. Sorry, Andrew.
Hey, oh, no worries, man. Hey, thanks for fitting me in. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Actually, pretty decent call by the Commander. It doesn't match the tone in the chat. I didn't have really problems with that. I thought it was a decent call. It was actually enjoyable. I didn't mind it.
Yeah, I think I'm more confrontational in calls than he is. So that's
yeah, that's a good one. So, Andrew, what's on your mind? Do you have any insight into this legal stuff more than I do to parse out the realities of this and what it'll mean for Notre Dame? Or maybe you want to talk about something else, but I'm not as comfortable talking about that lawsuit as some other folks would be with a better legal understanding.
Yeah, my brother's a lawyer, so I reached out to him. I'd be interested to hear what he has to say.
Yeah, but, you got a lot of that in you, by the way, Andrew. You got a lot of that in you. By the way you argue and put together your argument, you got a lot of lawyer in you too, buddy.
Well, thanks. Or I don't know if that's a compliment, but yeah, no, I
Me
appreciate
neither.
It.
Me neither.
My only thing on this, and I think you and Mike Goolsby for the Patreon, I think you guys should reach out to Bud Elliott over at 247. I don't know what your thoughts are on 247. They actually have been not too kind to Notre Dame this offseason, but I really like Bud Elliott. He's on a national podcast, and he's a former lawyer, and he's been pretty on top of all this. And so I think the next domino to fall, there's two dominoes I think are going to fall. They will become employees. I mean, Notre Dame always puts out these silly statements like remember last year when Swarbrick and the president wrote that op-ed, and it's just stupid. Like, I don't know why they say what they say, because I think they know what's coming down the pike. So eventually these guys will become employees. They will want to unionize, and then I think that the next best thing that the teams can do, and this is what Bud Elliott says, is instead of them being employees of the school, make them employees of the conference. and then you have more protection that way.
Mm.
And so I think, and so I say that because I think that will eventually force Notre Dame's hand to join a conference when all those dominoes fall, because they don't want the responsibility of dealing directly with a union like that. You know, they need protection, and there's protection in numbers and so forth. So yeah, I think that will eventually be the domino.
Yeah, it's just really, man, Andrew, just think of the last few years. College football's changed in the biggest ways it could ever change, on the field and off the field. Everything is so different. And here's the thing, man. I'm confident Pete Bavacqua knows the score. Pete Bavacqua is a smart guy. He's obsessed with Notre Dame football being good. Like, I heard somebody talked about, he came to the Chicago Alumni Club and did an event and spoke, you know, trying to do the fundraising thing. He's obsessed with Notre Dame football being good, more than you would expect, like a button down AD to be at Notre Dame. He knows the score, man. He's going to do everything he can to put Notre Dame in a position to be able to continue to compete. I just don't know when the answer to that equation is join the Big Ten. Like, I don't know where the threshold is and how much has to change with all of this other stuff before we get to that point where that's just the easiest answer. Am I a fool for seeing it this way? That every different one of these angles, the street signs point to the Big Ten. Am I wrong?
The only thing that I think would delay that move as much as possible is that I don't know how good of a commissioner the new Big Ten commissioner is. You know, it seems like if you listen to Bud Elliott, it seems like the SEC commissioner really knows how to play chess. Like they've already been working on all this stuff. Like, you know what I mean? That's why he brought up that idea of, I think the SEC is kind of already sort of working on that model that they'll eventually be employees and then the SEC will be the employer versus the school. So I guess the question would beg is, you know, there's the Big 12 or the Big Ten commissioner is sort of new. The other guy left. He's now like an executive in the NFL, and he negotiated, I guess, a decent TV deal, but he was not considered to be a rocket scientist. The former Big Ten commissioner. So it should be interesting because Notre Dame doesn't want to give up power, and they certainly, if there's one thing that Notre Dame has, it's good lawyers, because I mean Notre Dame's one of the best law schools in the country. They've got a Supreme Court justice. They're not going to sign some Big Ten deal if it's a crap deal. So I think it will be interesting. You know,
it's going to be really interesting. The other thought to me is, clearly you're right. The one thing I do understand with this is it's furthering the divide between the haves and the have-nots. And it's to the point now where there's no other like people are going to be in the negative, not being able to pay this. You're done. So you're done. And then this is creating a have and have-not situation. Do you think eventually they break away, like the power conferences in Notre Dame break away and form their own thing and their own little governance, and then they could mandate what they want? Is that where we're headed?
I think it will. I think it depends on what Congress does. If Congress actually does something, because they could sort of force the college football team to be attached to the NCAA. Because remember, everybody in Congress is like 80 years old, and so they may still look at the NCAA in a different way than we do. But I think they're probably, and then Pat Carter made this point several times, they probably need something from Congress to give them protection, or else you're just going to keep getting lawsuits. And then that could ruin college football if they keep, I mean, dude, like I always,
2016.
I think about the Dylan Rashada thing.
2016's the cutoff for this retroactive NIL pay. I don't understand that in theory either. Why can't why can't the Rocket say how much marketing and money should I get for being the Rocket and all that promo was? I don't understand why the cutoff's 26, but that's just me. I don't understand it. Anyways, whatever. That's a little different than what you were saying, but I just can't figure out how the cutoff's there. If I'm in 2015, I'm like, bro, where's my money? I don't understand how that's the line, but whatever.
I agree with you. Yeah. Hey, I only have 5 minutes, so I want to just throw out one thing.
Sure.
And get your perspective. Al Washington Can we talk about Al Washington?
Yeah, go ahead. What do you think?
So one thing that's really pissed me off about Notre Dame media and some of the Notre Dame message board websites that I really like is they have made this like straw man kind of thing about how, oh, the fans are just picking on Al Washington. They always need like some coach to pick on. And quite frankly, even Mike Goolsby said that. And I think what really kind of pisses me off is I have good listening skills and I had reading comprehension. And so 2 years ago when they hired Al Washington, every single article that came out all said Al Washington is not just a good recruiter or a decent recruiter. He's an elite recruiter. That's what they said. This guy, he's an elite recruiter. Okay. And so I sort of had expectations that an elite recruiter would do some elite recruiting. And so I get it. It's traditionally been hard to get good defensive linemen at Notre Dame. We don't have a great history of that, you know, but I kind of listen to what people say and they set the standard. And so all Al Washington has done since he's gotten here is he strikes out, he swings for fence, you know, home runs, and he strikes out. You know, he's got warning track power. He gets to the final three and then loses. Yep. And then he gets like a couple of top, you know, 200 guys. And so like, yeah, you got to give him credit for that. One of them is Bryant Young's son. It's like, if you didn't land that guy, you've got a serious issue. So I don't give him that much credit for that. And and then all of a sudden people go on message boards and say, hey, what's the deal here? Wasn't he supposed to be an elite recruiter? And then no offense, like I like Mike Singer, but he basically is like, you know, what's your problem? Like, why are you criticizing Al Washington? It's like, dude, you wrote an article saying that he's an elite recruiter. That's why I'm holding him to the standard you set. Stop changing the narrative. So it just kind of pisses me off.
Yeah, I get it.
I feel like sometimes they treat Notre Dame fans like crap. It's like, you know what? No offense, you guys are the ones who told us. And then I'll have one last example. Last offseason, people did not like Al Golden. Yeah, you know, the script has totally changed. People love Al Golden now because he had the top 5 defense. But going into last year, people were kind of pissed because of our red zone defense. They thought Al Golden kind of sucked. And people tried to blame Al Golden for the Justin Scott fiasco. This guy, Sean, on the Lucky Lefty podcast was putting out there that Al Golden never went to go visit Justin Scott, which was a lie, or he was either misinformed or whatever. And so a lot of Notre Dame fans ran with that. And it was Mike Singer who came out and said, that's totally wrong. Al Golden fought for Justin Scott. In reality, Al Washington misplayed the recruitment. So it's like they'd even told us that in these certain recruitments, Al Washington has misplayed it. So that's why Notre Dame fans are on Al Washington. It's because the Notre Dame media set the expectation that this guy was going to come in and be an elite recruiter.
Yeah, Andrew,
so,
I think,
and then the other thing is Goolsby tried to say that people were attacking this guy Gordy. I think that's nonsense. Nobody has personally attacked this new recruit. They've all the ire has been against Al Washington, and so it's like, and you know what? And I'll be quite frank with you. Let's pretend people did attack him, which they didn't. They did not attack him. This is now professional football. You know what I mean? Like my kid in Little League, you know, just missed the All-Star team, and you know, he was really sad about it. And we went and talked to the coach. Why did he miss the All-Star team? And you know what? That coach was pretty blunt, and I appreciate it. He said, hey, you got to hit better. You got to do this. So there's disappointment and criticism all the way down to Little League. And we're supposed to shield a 3 or 4 star Division I guy. It's like, sorry, this is big time. You want to come to Notre Dame? You're going to get a little bit of criticism. Have a thick skin. So I just think that that's all I have to say.
Yeah. And I think the realities quickly, and then I know you got to go. Here's my reaction to that. You're about to start getting real answers, because if you're not going to recruit enough elite guys, and we're going to go down the developmental buy-in traits, build them up path, that they better hit, or we're all in big trouble. And that time's coming starting next year, where those guys are going to have to contribute. Like, you better hit on those projects and developmental stuff if you're not going to land more of the top line guys. Otherwise, it's going to be a big problem for Freeman, and it's going to be a big problem for Washington, because even I, as much as I'm a supporter, Freeman, you can't let the bar for recruiting lower. You can't. You can't massage it to be okay with less now down the road. You can't.
Yeah, and I would just end on that. It's like Marcus Freeman gets all the credit when we land a big recruit and gets none of the blame if we miss out on somebody. So there's a big imbalance there. And I would just end on that. Notre Dame fans are not irrational. You guys told us he's an elite recruiter, and you can try to spin this all you want, but I think his results have been mixed. They have not been elite, and so that's why people are critical of him. So yeah. I gotta hop, but appreciate that.
Have a good one, man. Sunday night, I think we're going live. Hit me up if you're around.
Hey, thanks, Sean.
Have a good one. Take care. Yep. Mark with Glasses wrote that he loves the concept that Andrew's going into a sales call all pissed off about the D line. Dude. Although I will say this, there is something kind of bugging me a little bit too. Would we come in my chat and then talk about all the other Notre Dame shows? All you're going to do is try and get me in trouble with the stuff you're saying and the paths you're leading down. You're just trying to get me in trouble, okay? And a lot of the people you talk about really don't like me. And so rather than jump in that dirt, I'd rather we just keep it about our group and our show, if you're picking up what I'm putting down, because it's just not worth it. So take that however you want to take it. So I do agree. If you're not going to land it's not a huge deal. I don't like seeing certain names in here all morning. Okay. It annoys me. What I want to say is, you're in a spot where if you're not going to land the elite 4- and 5-star guys stack on that defensive line, and we're being told developmental, this guy's got a 6'4" long frame, but he's 215 pounds, but he's going to grow into an edge rusher, whatever. If we're not going to land those top level guys, enough of them in each class to do what you need to do, that developmental stuff better be good. It better be good. You can't do either, or the old Freeman era is screwed. If you're not going to recruit elitely all across that defensive front, and then you're wrong with your evaluations and these guys flame out and don't develop, you're done. You're done. So Marcus needs to make sure they figure this out. And here's the other part of this now. Some of you people don't think that I ever hold Freeman accountable, or I don't expect anything of him or anything else. Al Washington, Al Golden, Al Golden. Marcus Freeman is the head coach of this football team, and he himself said he needs to be the lead recruiter, and he comes from a defensive background. Marcus Freeman needs to be held accountable for what's going on with the defensive line recruiting too. So if you're not happy about it, it isn't just blame it all crap on Al Washington, but Marcus Freeman has a personality we like, so we're going to shield him. He needs to be a part of it too. Oh my God, the man in the Michigan ad is, sir, have you been drinking and doing hard drugs in the morning? I'm just asking. I don't know where this guy came from. Imagine your football team not winning a title last year. Can't relate. I mean, yeah, you did win that on paper, but you have no respect outside of your own cult because of the way you won it. Nobody respects, having a guy with the glasses to spy on other teams from another sideline. That's pathetic and embarrassing. And you know what? The one that I'm going to get them the most on is, I'm a media guy. And I love your show, John, but I don't need your respect. Good, because you're never going to get it. So don't worry about it. We're all good then. You're never going to get it. But honestly, I don't know how you could be a Michigan fan and walk around all like braggy when you know some shady stuff happened and you know it. And like you can't act like it was all straight up. Yes, Michigan played great. They physically road graded teams all year, and it was fun to watch in hatred for me. But the brand of football they played, I enjoy, just not from them, all of that. If I'm a Michigan fan, I'd be frustrated because you had this great year and people are taking away from it because you chose to break the rules. And you know Harbaugh knew, come on, he looked the other way, or he didn't know and should have known, and either way, that's a problem. Absolutely it did. But did I personally cheat? So why would I feel ashamed? Because you're representing that team. Anything Notre Dame does comes down on me because I represent pro Notre Dame. What do you mean? So you want to wait? You're being completely contradictory. Your tweet, what I have up here says, imagine your football team not winning a title. Can't really. So you're owning it on the front end. When I bring up the cheating part, then you're not owning it. You don't get to do both. You don't get to do both. You're trying to own it, and then when the bad stuff comes, not own it. I can't let you do that. I can't let you do that. But the thing that I'm going to tell you, the one that sickens me the most, I always talk about the Michigan media being the most dishonest I've ever encountered, and some of the beat got just scam web, EJ, just the most disingenuous group of paid for, in pocket, state run Ann Arbor media. Okay. I have no respect for them. And they lie, they twist the truth, they put out whatever they want to put out. They don't bring up other stuff that needs to be brought up to protect the program. And I'm going to be gentle with how I say this because I don't want any issues with YouTube and the system, whatever. The one thing of all last year, Dr. John, I know it's your show, but get that off the screen, please. I wanted to put it there, keep it there, so I remembered when I was done with the call to go back and yell about it. Here's the number one thing, like you sending your guy with laser glasses to record the thermal imaging of the Michigan State team from the other sideline of Western Michigan or whoever it was. All of that kind of like the Connor Stallions, all of that kind of stuff is absolutely nothing compared to the Michigan media knowing Michigan had someone on their staff busted for underage child stuff. All of the Michigan radio, YouTube beat guys, all of them knew that was happening. They knew of the report. Not one of them ever said a word about it. None of them said a word about it because they prefer to protect football over children in Ann Arbor, in the city they live and work. Okay? That is sick. You people are sick. You're disgusting. And you have no priorities whatsoever. Your media chose to value protecting the image of the program over protecting children when it was on video, one of your staffers trying to meet underage people for inappropriate activities. Okay? And all of the media knew it. Not one of them presented that story. Okay? Not one. They made a decision. Protect football over children. You people are sick, and I have no respect for you whatsoever because of that one thing. All of them knew it. All of them knew it. All those inside scam web, all the inside Michigan people, they all knew about it. And you know who had to do a show about it, calling it out? Me. Because none of them would, because they wanted to protect the program rather than let all the families in Ann Arbor know this pervert is in this town. Keep your kids away from him wherever he is. That was a choice. Okay? I have no respect for it. Those people are sick. They have no proper priorities, and I am sickened by it. Also, now that we're going down the pervert path, let's go for it. Did you see the news out of Texas A&M this morning? Go look that one up. That makes this Michigan thing seem like nothing. Look up the Texas A&M stuff that came out this morning. There's a student group. I don't know if it's a frat or a religious thing, Chi, Sigma, whatever. I don't know what it is. Multiple members of that group at Texas A&M just got arrested for the same thing I was talking about this Michigan guy. These people are sick. They're sick. If your first priority isn't protecting kids, I don't know what we're doing. We've lost our way. You should see the mugshots of these Texas A&M guys. You can see, you can look in the eyes of someone and see there ain't no proper soul there. These people are sick. So look it up. So I don't know what Texas A&M had going, but it was literally some student group or whatever, and a bunch of them got arrested for underage stuff. Absolutely disgusting. And you could see it in their eyes. There's just nothing happening. I don't know how to describe it. I could see it in their eyes that there's no soul back there. Okay. It's really disturbing. So anyways, and you know what else I'm going to say too about this? You could argue, and I'm going back to the calls. I will. Here's the other thing. It would be easy for someone to say, John, who are you as a Catholic guy at the Catholic school, as if you guys don't have problems or have stuff that happened or whatever. You're right. The difference is I call it out. I call it out. I worked for the Archdiocese of Joliet for 12 years, and we ran into these issues and lawsuits and investigations and all this kind of crap going on. All you could do if you're there now is call it out, bring it to light, root out the bad people, be upfront with what happened to protect everything, stop it from happening again. That's what you could do. But the fact that all the Michigan people in the media knew this guy was going around town doing this, none of them said it because it would have hurt football. And it all happened behind the scenes. The guy got fired and let go, and that story never saw the light of day. There wasn't one article written about it, nothing. I don't understand. A guy stealing signs gets 9 million articles, but someone on your staff perving out for underage people, tricking them into meeting, that isn't worth an article? Where are our priorities? Where are our priorities? This is sick. Sick. What a dark turn for a Friday, but it had to be said. I agree, John. Every school and institution has terrible people behind the scenes. Michigan cheated and did much worse. But if I can't separate football and enjoy it, then what do you want? I mean, now you're kind of getting into what I want Notre Dame's mission to be. Winning the right way. Winning clean. It isn't going to mean as much to me if Notre Dame wins, but I know they cut corners or cheated or did a bunch of wrong. Maybe it does for some people, but not me. That's a part of being a Notre Dame fan, is wanting to do it the right way with good students and good people and not cutting all those corners, proving that if you just put in the hard work and do it clean, you could get big results. So now you're telling me how to enjoy wins. Now I'm good. You want to play both sides of this, man. I mean, I know your deal. You're one of a million. You all do the same thing. You all do the same thing. You want to have your cake and eat it too. You want to crow about the win, but kind of acknowledge it wasn't clean, but you're still going to brag about it. Here's the key, and then I'm done talking about Michigan. I almost like it less than talking about Kelly. What I'm going to say is, in your circles, you guys are all in a circle jerk about what happened last year. Anywhere outside of Ann Arbor, nobody respects it. They just don't. They just don't. Like, you can't go into any bar anywhere else and crow about Michigan being the champions. Like, no, the shtick only works in Ann Arbor, in your cult. And in your families where your mom and your dad were related before they got married. That's the only place that it flies. Everywhere else, it doesn't. So it's got to be frustrating as an honest Michigan fan to win a championship, but you know you can't walk around truly with your full pride into another state or city or whatever. You can't. Cult? Yeah. MFBD, Michigan Football Brain Disorder. It's a cult. Although, I'm telling you, it's nothing compared to Texas A&M. These people, they're freaks on that campus. They are weirdos at that Texas A&M. There's something going on down there. Do they drink the oil right out of the ground? What the hell's wrong with these people? What's wrong with these people? There's something going on at Texas A&M. These people are soulless Southern zombies. Something's going on, and I don't like it. I really don't. Look at the article, man. These Texas A&M people all arrested for this. There ain't nothing in their eyes. You can look into it and see there's no soul. You can look in, and these are young guys, college-age guys. How do you be 21 years old and you're already that? I'm telling you, you could look in their eyes and see there was something missing. Totally creepy. Totally. So I'm dead serious. Watch your kids if you bring them to the game. It's really disturbing that I got to even say that. All right. We got a bunch more people that want to hop in. So everybody keep it to your main points. We keep it moving. 773, what's going on?
Hey, John, what's going on? Big time. Hey, listen, Andrew, was that your last caller?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Yeah, he's a smart caller. I like how analytical he is. He gets away from the emotion and looks at the program analytically. Like, here's what I think is going on. And he's a smart guy for I don't think he played football, but he's a smart guy for not playing football, how he perceives a program. But anyway, getting back to what you were discussing, what I brought up to you about Iowa, when people were calling me and said, hey, congratulations. And I said, big deal. They won the Big Ten West. What's that really mean? You can't judge. If you win the Big Ten West, you can't judge how good a team is over there because, once they go over to the East, they're probably the fourth or fifth best team. And what I'm trying to say here is that's where Notre Dame is stuck when you try to compare Marcus and Kelly. It's hard to compare what's going on because at the end of a season, you get into the playoff game, and if you get smashed, like Kelly had 3 12-0 seasons, 5 10-win seasons, but he got smashed in the playoff game. So what do you think that is? Were those good years then?
Yeah, that's really, really interesting. I struggle with that a lot. I really struggle with, think about 2012. You went 12-0, won a bunch of exciting games. I know a lot of those teams weren't as good as, they should have been when we played them. You went 12-0, you're feeling good. Does the Alabama result erase any good feelings from the 12-0? I have mixed feelings on that, but it's hard to feel good about the 12-0 when you couldn't compete at all and got embarrassed. It kind of comes out from all those good feelings, doesn't it?
Yes, exactly. As a player, you know what? As a player, you're going home thinking that the season was a waste. And the reason why you think that way is because you feel that the 12 wins before that, who did we play if we just wind up in a playoff game and got smashed like that? Who did we even play?
Exactly.
And I'll give you a good example.
Yeah.
But besides Iowa winning the Big Ten West and going to the Big Ten championship game, like, well, who'd you really look at? The second place team in the West is 7-5.
Yeah.
So what does that really mean? And I'll bring up even a better example of this is why you have to. This is why, and I hate to keep bringing this back about getting into the SEC or the Big Ten. But if you run the table there and you win the championship game and you get the number 1 or number 2 seed in the playoffs, you can feel pretty good about your team. You know what? They did the best they can. They're the SEC champs, and they got the number 1 slot or the number 2 slot in the playoffs. You could feel pretty good about that team going into the playoffs. And you got a good football team, and you know what? They're going to get to the national championship game. Everything other than that, you know, and I'll give you a great example who fell into that last year, Florida State. 13-0. They were we're 13-0. Are we getting to get the 1 seed or the 2 seed? Is Georgia 1 and we're 2? Or is Alabama 2 and we're 1 and Georgia's 3? We're 13-0. And then as it turns out, everybody said, you're not even a good football team. Yeah. And people were going crazy about that. 13-0, 13-0, 13-0. And then what happened?
Yeah.
65-3 against Georgia.
And see, here's the reason it hurt me so much. Like the 2012 one was particularly rough. It just hurts to think you were on the right path for so long, only to find out you were further away than you thought you were, and you weren't even close. That was very, very tough. And it had to be a realization for Kelly. You got to change what you're doing because this ain't working. Doesn't matter if you go 12-0, you're nowhere near good enough. It was really, really rough. I think that's what got to Kelly. I think as time went by, you seen him get more. I don't want to say he got down or maybe he got an attitude or, you know, he was snappy with everybody. Like, what do you want? What do you want? What's your question? I think he realized at a certain point, like if I go 12-0 and don't win at all, it's going to be considered a failure because everyone's going to point back and say, well, who did you play to get to 12-0? Yeah.
Who did you play to get there? And that's what happens if you get to that's why it's so hard to judge. Like if Marcus wins 10 games, is that good? Is he win 11 games? Is that good? Is he win 12 games? Is that good? Well, if he goes 12-0 and does a Kelly and gets smashed in the first playoff game, well, you can't say, well, that was good if you say, well, what Kelly didn't accomplish anything. Well, then now what does that mean for Marcus if he goes 12-0 next year and gets smashed in a playoff?
Let me see if you have experienced this in your brain too. Follow me here on this. Like, I struggle to figure out the realities of this. It is not lost on me that in 2 full years, Notre Dame has not had one of those blowout losses. Kelly had at least one in every single year. Even the good years ended in one. Freeman has not had one of those like blowouts. I mean, like 38-14, a blowout. You're not even competitive. You don't belong in the field. It's just a blowout. We've had some ugly losses, but they ended up being not blowouts. I like that. However, we have to be fair and say Freeman hasn't been like in a playoff moment, though, against the best of the best of the best, unless you count Ohio State. You could count Ohio State on that. But I struggle when I make that comparison because I do have to admit, Kelly went up against a monster Alabama team in a 2-team championship scenario. That's a lot harder of an environment than anything Freeman has been in yet. But it is not lost on me that we have not had one of these blowouts where we just can't do anything at all.
Right. Well, that gets back to, let's get back to Kelly first, and I'll try to answer your question. That's the problem with the situation here. Let's just say Notre Dame was in the Big Ten and they ran through Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, Washington. You know what? You're getting to the end of the season feeling pretty darn good about this football team. You're thinking, you know what? They're going to win their 2 or 3 playoff games. It's just a matter of, will they get to the national championship? Same thing if you're in the SEC. You run through Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss, Texas, Oklahoma. You feel good going into the playoffs. Like, you know what? We were 11-1 coming out of the SEC. You know, we got just as good of a chance as anybody else of getting to the national championship. Now, if you're not in one of those two, say you're in the ACC, like here, let's take the Big 12. let's say Baylor wins the Big 12, so they'll go 11-1. How do you feel about them getting to the national championship game? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, they're 11-1, but who did they play? Okay, let's see who they beat. They beat this, you know what I mean? They beat Texas Tech. They beat Oklahoma State. They beat Arizona. You know what I mean? Not saying that that's great. If Baylor goes 11-1, Baylor's going to take that. But if your goal is to win the whole thing, that's the mark of either getting to the national championship or winning the national championship. Well, then 11-1 doesn't mean anything anymore. It just doesn't, because and that's the problem Kelly had. That's why how you view Kelly, no matter what he did during the season, the 10-win seasons, the 11-win season, the 12-win seasons, if you get smashed in the playoffs, you're not going to feel like, boy, oh boy, I thought we were better than that. Well, you know what? You are what you are. You were good against the teams that you beat. You were good against those teams.
Yeah.
Well, now you stepped up. When you step up against Alabama, Ohio State, and Alabama, okay, those are the guys that are going to be in the national championship. Is that if you're going to compare yourself to those teams, then it's like, wow, will Notre Dame ever get there?
Yeah.
You know, you don't know if Notre Dame will ever get there.
And you know what else, man? You know what else too? Every time Notre Dame's made it that far, we've matched up against really good teams. Like, we have not gotten any breaks as far as we just hit gauntlets. 2018 Clemson, like what that Alabama team is, and you were a play away from playing Kansas State instead of Alabama in 2012. Like, bro, we literally, and then the other Alabama team in 20. That's the other thing. When Notre Dame's made it, we are facing elite of the elite. And the one thing I do value about it, while it makes me miserable and breaks my heart, and it makes me think all of it was false hope running through the season, here's what it does help me appreciate. It gives you an accurate measuring stick of exactly where you're at. When you know you're playing the elite of the elite, that 18 Clemson team, whatever, there's no margin for leeway, no margin for error, and it tells you exactly where you fall short. That's the only thing positive I could pull from it, is it lets you know where you're not good enough.
Okay, so let's look at it that way. So you go in, you play Alabama, and you get smashed by Alabama. So then you look at it and say, for the people that say, well, Marcus hasn't gotten to 12-0 or whatever their stick is to measuring Marcus. If you're looking at it that way, when they played Alabama, they're not there yet. So now that 12-0, can you use that as a measuring stick anymore, or do you have to wait to play Alabama and Georgia to find out who you are?
Yeah.
See, that's my thing. My thing is, if you're in their conference, or you're in with Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Oregon, if you're in that conference and you ran through, now you're getting to the conference championship game, you win it. Now you go into the playoffs, you're like, you know what? Even if we don't win the whole thing, we had a pretty good damn football team. We really did. I don't care what anyone says. If we get in that national championship game and we lose by 6 or 7, but we ran through Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, and Washington, and you know what? I like where this is going, and I like we're going to be great recruiting, and we're going to be even better next year.
Yeah.
And that's what you. And if you're not in that position, if you're in a position where you're going to play as ACC teams and then you're going to play some group of 5 teams, you could go 11-1 this year. And here's another thing. If you go 12-0, you're getting the number 5 seed. What's that tell you? Like, wait a minute, we're 12-0. Why are we getting the number 5?
Now, okay, there's another argument. There's another argument here. Let me flip it on you. Let me flip this on you. The other argument would be, if you're playing a lesser schedule throughout the year, you're not as battle tested against the elite, but you have a better chance of even making it to the big dance. And then you bank on hoping that you got better throughout the year, and then you're going to really show it when you're most tested. That would be the other side of this argument. Like, I get what you're saying. You get battle tested playing Georgia and Alabama in the regular season or whatever. But the other argument would be, playing a lighter schedule, it's more likely you're not going to lose. You make the big dance, and then you just hope that you're good enough. But at least that boosts you into that opportunity. Does that make sense?
Okay, so then, that's okay. they're looking at it that way, like, hey, well, at least if you play a lighter schedule and you go 11-1 and 12-0, and then, yeah, sure, maybe you got banged in the playoff, well, then credit. If you're going to look at it that way, like, well, look, at least we made it. Yeah, we played a lighter schedule, but we made it. So now that means something to you. Like, we made it. I know it's a lighter schedule, but we still made it. And here's another good example. Besides Iowa and Florida State won 13-0 last year, and then the committee told them they weren't good enough to make the playoffs. And this goes to show you who you play during the year. You're going to get a feel, no matter what your record are. You're going to feel if you're good enough by who you play. Hey, let's look at Nebraska. When Nebraska joined the Big Ten, they were rolling off in the previous decade 3 national championships. Were named the college team of the decade. They had Heisman. They went 28-0. They went 2 years beating Oklahoma. The third year they lost Oklahoma, but they went almost three complete years without losing a game. So now here they are. Congratulations. We're welcoming you to the Big Ten. Now they struggle to win 6 games.
Yeah.
So what that told me was this: if they got by Oklahoma, they were going to have a great year. They had to play that one team. They were okay against Kansas State, Missouri, Texas Tech. They were okay against all those other ones. If they got by Oklahoma, they had a great year. They were going to be 12-0 going into a national because it was the BCS. So if they get by Oklahoma, now they're going to be in the BCS championship game. All they had to do was show up and play their best football on 2 weekends because they had a weak schedule playing in the Big 12. So beat Oklahoma and then beat Miami, whoever you're going to play in the national championship. You win those 2 games, you're going to be considered the best team in football. But now they ran into this problem. Now they're in the Big Ten, and it's like, okay, now you've got to win 4 or 5 games to get into the Big Ten, and you got to play Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State, and then you can look at Iowa or Wisconsin and Michigan State, and they're a little bit up and down. But when they're good and winning 10 games, they're pretty tough to get through, or at least they're tougher than Texas Tech, Baylor, and Houston. And that's why, depending on where you're at, if you're in a conference, you can judge here. If let's say Penn State goes 12-0 next year in the Big Ten. You know what? They're going to be in pretty good shape in the playoffs. I think they're going to be okay in the playoffs, going 12-0 because they had to go through Oregon, Washington, Michigan, and Ohio State to get to that 12-0.
Yeah, makes
so
sense
now you're
to me.
getting a real.
Yeah, and I'm glad.
Realistic.
The number one thing I'm glad on is doing away with those stupid divisions in the Big Ten. That's a big deal to me because you're actually going to get a competitive title game and not 4 lost Northwestern or Iowa, and then they call it a title game. Anything else, my friend? I want to get some other folks in this morning. Anything else on the way out?
Let me tell you one quick story about fish that you'll get a kick out of this. When I was playing in the league, I played with some guys from LSU, and those guys would have crawfish sent up overnight from Louisiana to, I don't want to say where we played, from Louisiana to the city we were playing with, and they would just sit there and watch TV and eat crawfish all day and all night.
Yeah.
But it was fun. They called us from Louisiana. They would send them to crawfish from Louisiana to the city that we were playing in. And I just thought about when you said you hate fish, I thought about those guys kicking back with their skull and their crawfish watching TV.
Man,
all right, buddy.
I just can't do the one looking at me while I'm eating it on the plank, man. That's just one too far for my picky eating self. Hey, have a good weekend, man. Enjoy Memorial Day. We're thinking of going live Sunday night, so tune in and with the cold one, maybe, okay?
All right, buddy. Bye-bye.
Take care. I'm telling you what, man. That dude's brain processes things more quicker than I'm able to absorb. Does that make sense? His brain's like wired. It processes quicker than I can wrap my mind around it sometimes. Nikki Dean, $5 holler. Why do fans of other programs come in here, talk that ish, and then get defensive when we clap at? Because that's how it is on the internet. That's how, Nick. But the Michigan man, dude, you are really and truly playing both sides of this. It's like I don't know how you can't see that you're being directly hypocritical in every single thing you're saying. You're only wanting to hold on and claim the good parts, but then the other parts, no, nothing to do with that. You don't get to do that, bro. You don't only get to claim when you come on a show like me and start talking shit with your Michigan stuff. You're advocating for support of that. And what that is everything that goes into it. Right? You don't just get to claim a title and ignore how it all gets built. The people involved building it. Like, you don't get to play both sides, claiming all the good stuff and then, oh, I know nothing. None of that other stuff has anything to do with me. You don't get to a la carte pick and choose which parts of this you're going to embrace and own and the other parts act like they don't exist. You don't get to do that. You don't get to do that. So it's hypocritical to enjoy the on-field product if I don't take personal responsibility for the behind-the-scenes stuff that I had no control over? Yes. Is that a good enough answer? Yes. If Notre Dame wins something and I know they did it cheating or the wrong way and cut all these corners, I'm not proud of that. Compass. You people in that dump state should look into it. That's what it's called. Having a moral compass. Like, it 100% matters to me how Notre Dame arrives wherever they arrive. It isn't just the result, and I ignore all of the other behind-the-scenes stuff that builds to that on-field moment. Those are the ingredients that cook the meal. You don't just look at the meal. Man, you guys are coping, man. Yeah, I can see it. You're all working this shit to be able to feel better about all of what went on. You're all trying to find every mental gymnastic to be able to parse this out and really feel good about it. It's an interesting social experiment to watch. But yes, I 100% am saying how your team gets to the on-field result should matter in the calculation of how much you respect them. Yes, 100%. That's what I'm saying. It's called having a moral compass. Woof. 386, you're in the mix. Hey, it's been a while, man. What's going on?
What's going on, John? How you doing today, brother?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. It's good to see. It looks like it's been like March since you gave me a call last time. I hope you're doing well in Florida, right?
Yep, everything's going good. It's definitely starting to heat up here, but everything's going good. I work Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so I'm able to call in if I get off work a little early in the day. So
that's awesome, man. So what's on your mind? We covered a little bit of the NCAA lawsuit ruling where these guys are all going to get paid and it's going to become pretty standardized and all that. Been ripping Michigan all morning. Like, what's on your mind? Freeman a little bit, the D-line. What's on your mind? A&M. We could go anywhere. If you only call once every couple months, I'm going to give you the decision to go wherever you want.
Yeah, for sure. Well, to break down everything that you guys have talked about pretty quickly, screw Michigan. That's the biggest asterisk. They're all fake. They're all phony. They're all trying to come up and say anything and everything to sweep all that under the rug, and they don't want to admit what actually happened, and it's all fake. But on Notre Dame side, talking about A&M, all I've heard about is their D-line. Like, every day we come back and that's all we hear about. I have not heard anything about their offense. I have not heard anything about their running backs, linebackers, quarterbacks, receivers. I have not heard one thing other than their D-line. That's all I've heard.
Me too.
Yeah, they have a good D-line. They have a good D-line, but what else do they have?
The only thing I've heard is, and I don't know the veracity of this, but I heard that they're pretty high on Connor Wegman, the quarterback that was injured midway through last year, and he's rehabbing and then coming back. He's on some of the dark horse Heisman contender lists or whatever. But that's about all I've heard. And then other than that, it's all they got athletes in the defensive front that are going to light up Notre Dame's inexperienced offensive line and make all the rest of John's hair fall out. I hear it every day.
We have to worry about.
I hear it every day.
That's
Dude,
the only thing we have to worry about.
bro, if you're going to say you're going to be a big boy in college football and you're Notre Dame and you're going out of your way to pay the highest salary for a offensive coordinator in the country, I expect you to figure a lot of this out. This isn't last year with the guy who doesn't know what he's trying to learn his way. No. If I'm paying you all this, then you need to be able to figure this shit out. Whatever it's going to be, find a workaround, Denbrock. It's what you're paid for.
Yep. And he'll have them locked in. That's the thing about. I mean, you mentioned it on your recent shows. If they're sending out an all-out blitz, Denbrock's going to be the coordinator that has, plans B, C, D, and E, and F to go to. He's not just going to keep running with that plan A the whole freaking game. He's obviously got enough experience to have certain plans and different plans throughout the game. Like I just don't know where some of our fan base has this. Again, and it's not all of your fans and this whole family that you have with Always Irish. It's not everybody, but there's some pessimistic fans that just really need to go Google the word pessimistic versus optimistic, because there's just so much of both of those. We have fans that are on both sides.
Yeah.
It's tough to break down, man. I give credit to you because you deal with both sides of it. So, man,
I just feel Notre Dame lands in a weird spot, man. You got a lot of people buying. You got a lot of people buying into Marcus Freeman. Love the energy, love everything. But there's some reticence and hesitation with certain segments of the fan base to buy in with him. Now you're in this year 3. It really feels like this is going to be the tipping point for Freeman, either gaining momentum on the way up with better things to come, or there's going to start to become real doubt about, okay, a lot of good talking and sharp dressing and good hairdo. Where's the higher level results? We're getting into year 3 and year 4 here. This is a huge needle moving year, and it's just a big deal. It's hard to ignore the enormity of the moment we're in. And I don't mean that to be dramatic the way everything I say is dramatic, but I feel that I really mean that on a practical level.
Yeah, no, you're totally right, because unfortunately, again, you mentioned it before. Me and you are on the same wavelength. We respect and see what Kelly did for the program, but there was so much more to gain, and we are literally seeing that from day one from Freeman. If you go back and listen to his introductory press conference when he became the head coach, there are some things in there that he said that if you can't understand his words and what his vision is, then I don't know what to tell you. Like his words himself. And again, yes, he's had bad losses. The dude also has better wins in 2 years than Kelly did in 12.
Yeah, it's a fair point. Does he not have the same amount of top 10 wins in 2 years that Kelly had in 12? Am I right about that stat? I'm pretty sure it's the same amount in all that time. Now, at the same time, though, you know how this goes. Some people are going to go, yeah, but it's a little different because that Clemson team was leaking oil and they were undefeated, but they were begging for a loss, so they really weren't that good. Like, you're going to have that where it's like, they're going to try and they're going to try and downplay it. But it's not lost on me, though, that he's got some of those wins on under his belt already.
And then the recruiting, obviously, is tenfold. You had Brian Kelly that had Brendan Clark, Drew Pine, and Tyler Buckner, who was a better lacrosse player than he was at football, on the roster. Year 1, Freeman was able to get Kenny Minchie. Yes, thanks for Tommy Reese for helping in with that, but the head coach has a word in that. Kenny Minchie, CJ Carr, Deuce Knight, and another one lined up for 2026. That has completely flipped the script, night and day difference in 2 years. If Freeman would have been recruiting the same QBs that Kelly was, we'd be in shambles right now. As a program, as a fan base, we'd be wondering what's going on. The QB is the most highest skilled position in all sports that you need to win big games. And what has Freeman done? He's got QBs that he knows he thinks that can win the championship. That's what he's done.
Yeah. So what do you think are a couple things Freeman's got to figure out this year? The biggest ones. I could think of a couple. Number one is we weren't ready to play on the road last year. And I think that's a big deal. Too many of those games we were just looked uninterested at on the road. And I just don't understand how that happens. That is a big deal. They're going to be ready for week one because you can't overlook that one because it's such a big moment. But generally speaking, they did not perform well on the road, and I need them to be better at that. Freeman needs to clean up the in-game coaching, timeouts, controlling the ball at the end of halves, what you want to do with that kind of stuff. Marcus 10, man, the margin of error is too thin. You can't have any more of those issues. What else is on your mind that you're looking at this year, big picture?
Man, yeah. Basically, you were spot on. And all of that really comes with, being a head coach. We want him to be perfect. Everybody wants, everything to be perfect in this world. And that's just not how it is. But yeah, I mean, he needs to be better in the game. Obviously, he's got to be, and I think what's going to help is coordinators like Al. He's been there a couple of years now, but Denbrock on the offensive side, he's going to be able to help Freeman in those situations where, again, Parker might have been sticking to plan A, whereas Denbrock might be like, all right, we need to go to B,
Yep.
C, or D here, like to switch it up a little bit.
Yep.
I just think
that's what gives me the most confidence for the year.
Helps Freeman.
You're right.
That's
Yes.
ultimately going to help him.
Yes. Because the way I look at it is when you look at last year, the biggest problem to me overall was the offense could not score enough points against the better defenses we played to win those games. That was probably my number one complaint. The defense got worn down in those games. It's because they were out there 90% of the game because the offense couldn't do anything or keep the ball or score. That's the biggest complaint I had. And Notre Dame upgraded it with a home run. That is a huge deal to me. My number one complaint about the overall team last year, they upgraded it 100%. I love it.
Yep. It was a grand slam hire. Literally what we just said brings me right back to the Ohio State game, because in that moment, we just said that Parker didn't really have those extra plans that he needed to go to. But when he didn't need to, changed it up, and that's what lost us the game. He tried to change it up at the end of the game instead of, like you said, 100 times, giving it to Audric Estime, who was born to beat Ohio State. Didn't do it. That'll sit with them the rest of their lives, all of our lives, but it happens, and we're just going to come back with some vengeance. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And we are now under the 100-day mark, my friend. 99 days we have to worry about this Texas A&M game. And I'm telling you, man, I think about it every single day. Like, I'm not exaggerating. There's not one day that goes by I don't think it's some aspect of it. Maybe it's the heat. Maybe it's the weirdo in the white overalls. Maybe it's this cult on campus that just got arrested for underage stuff with kids. It's all of it. I don't like any of it. The dumb oil money, none of it.
Just whoop their ass, John. Let's just whoop their ass.
It's all you could do. It's all you could do, man. This needs to be Notre Dame's moment. All of America's going to watch this game, and I need you to make a statement. This is different, damn it. That's what I need.
Snap one, all 4 quarters, we're going to be playing some Notre Dame football that the people are going to remember.
Oh man,
and the nation's going to recognize that we're going to put Notre Dame on the map.
It's a big moment. Hey man, thanks a lot for giving me a call. I love it when you call. I always try and put you in because I know you can't hop on a lot. So when I see you, I try and jump you in. Thanks a lot, man. Have a good weekend. And then Sunday night, I think we're going to try and go live. Tune in.
Okay. Yep. I appreciate it. I'll be there for sure.
Beautiful. Have a good weekend, man. Enjoy yourself. Take care now. Dr. John asked, what's the update with Pat? I talked to him yesterday. He's just got a lot going on, man. His wife cut a bunch of her fingers, like mostly off or something, and then she had to rehab, but then she couldn't do stuff with the kids. So then Pat had to do that. Then he had work stuff. Then I think he had a trip planned to do some golf. But that got messed up. Jits are all messed up. Pat's fine. He'll appreciate you asked about him. Pat's fine. He's just got a lot going on with everything. That's all. Okay. Ah! Oh my God. No. Integrity in my personal life is very important. And he's even talking about church, but you need to separate that from college sports. Again, you're having it both ways, and I'm not allowing it. If you're going to, so what you're telling me is you have selective morality. That's what you're telling me. You have selective morality. And then it seems like what you do is, bro, like, man, you are not smart. Like, we're having a problem here, man. You're just not smart. Everything you say further contradicts the thing you said before it. Everything. The more you go, the more you're shining a spotlight on your hypocrisy and the rest of the cousin cult. The idea with having a moral compass is you don't get to just decide when to apply it. And that means sometimes things that people you love, you need to say they did wrong. You don't get to just pick where to apply the morality or where not. I had the same argument with Stevie Boy over at the Michigan podcast, who does a right-wing religious podcast on another channel. And then he's over there saying Michigan did nothing wrong and we're the champions and I love it and everything. But on the other channel, all he does is talk about morality and God and right from wrong and calling out evil, calling out doing the wrong thing, protecting kids. He's all about it on that channel. And then he logs into the Michigan podcast and everything they do is fine. Your group hypocrisy makes me sick. You don't get to pick and choose when to apply morals. You either have them or you don't. But I understand that's your team, and I understand you love it, and you are finding a way to make this tolerable for your own mind. Man, I didn't expect this kind of deep shit on a Friday morning. What the hell is going on here? I need a beer. Seriously, 615, make it come alive. Good morning.
What's going on? Good morning.
Really appreciate the call. Yeah, what's on your mind on a Friday?
I really don't have much to say. I mean, the Michigan stuff has been entertaining me. That's for sure.
Bro, am I wrong? Or do you see him both sides in this thing, picking it where it applies for him and then avoiding when it doesn't? Am I dreaming that? Or is he really playing a game of like picking and choosing?
Well, I think it just goes to show you like what goes into the mindset of a Michigan fan or somebody who's in the Michigan program is win at whatever cost, even if that goes against morally what you stand for. What are you teaching those young men? Number one, I mean, hey, we spied on some guys and now we're winning a national championship and we're getting off basically scot-free. I mean, that just doesn't send a great message. And I mean, if Notre Dame wanted to not play fair, they would be competing for the championship every year. And they have standards that they impose on themselves. But are we really thinking that Notre Dame, if they wanted to cheat, if they wanted to pay people when you couldn't pay people at a time, if they wanted to lower their academic standards, you're telling me that Notre Dame wouldn't compete like that? But they're doing it the right way. And it's going to make it so much better.
Bro, God,
nobody can take away from it.
You just really, really good point. My mission with all this whole thing, this channel, my vibe, all my whatever, the goal is to see Notre Dame prove you can win a title doing it the right way. Do you get what I'm saying? That's what it's about. If Notre Dame does a bunch 20 pay-for-play things and we win it, it isn't going to matter to me. The whole mission here is that Notre Dame proves you can win it doing it the right way with guys that can still read and write, treat people the right way. You're not cheating to get the players. Like, that's the whole point of this. If Notre Dame wins it dirty, then I'm not interested. That doesn't prove what the mission is. I don't know. Jeez.
Do you think anybody in the last 20, maybe 30 years has done it the right way in a sustained like dynasty? Like we've yet to see when it comes to Nick Saban and Alabama, because it seems like this kind of stuff comes to light after they've been gone for about 5 to 6 years or something like that. But I feel like every kind of sustained success from any college football team has been riddled with some sort of like controversy, whether it's like paying the players or under the table or like this, that, and the other going on. I mean, we all know what happened with what was going on with Florida.
And you know what else too?
Is it possible that somebody did it the right way?
Here's the other thing. You just brought this up and it triggered in my mind. You could say, John, the Catholic Church and Notre Dame themselves have had some issues or whatever in the past, and they have. Kelly had some serious stuff go on when he was in town still. Here's what I say to that whenever it gets brought up in a debate, usually with these type of people. Here's what I say. What I say to it is, Notre Dame is not perfect, but when they do mess up, they address it and they fess up. When Kelly had a cheating thing going on in school, we self-reported it to the NCAA and basically gave ourselves the punishment. What does Michigan do? They lie and cover everything, and the leadership lies and covers everything. We did nothing wrong. Like, that's the difference. When we're not saying we're perfect, but when you mess up, we're the ones who rat it on ourselves, not go to the AD and they cover for you with all their political power. That's the difference. I'm not saying we're perfect, but at least we try and hold ourselves to account. Big difference.
Yeah, well, that's the same thing with like hitting the accountability. I agree. Is that I think Notre Dame's kind of unique in that sense, and you could tie it to like its strong, like, you know, Catholic roots and it's being a Catholic university, and then, you know, that's me being a devout Catholic as well. I feel the same way. I get the hate from both sides, especially living in the South, where, you know, there's the whole child predator thing going on with the Catholic Church, and, you know, some pocketed areas, and then of course that's going to be related back to Notre Dame. I mean, Notre Dame hasn't been busted for it. I mean, we know what Penn State's been doing. We know what Michigan's been doing. Texas A&M, look what this is going on. But there's kind of that stigma, you know, and I mean, it kind of sticks. But yeah, you're completely right. Anytime something has happened at Notre Dame, it's been a self-report, and because they want to do things the right way. And I'll tell you what I kind of want to talk about this morning as well is that I'm so glad that in this era of paying people and like college athletics, they might be employees, they might do this, they might do that. I'm so happy that we have Pete at the helm and not Jack, because I'll tell you, I have no faith in whatever Jack was going to do at the end of this, but I think Pete will do what it takes.
Listen, man.
The right way, of course.
Yeah. So far, so good with Pete. Modern, forward thinker, really seems invested in the success of football. Jay Carr, yes, Commander, called in, and it was actually a pretty good call. Like, I've had a lot worse calls, but he trolls in the chat, and when he calls, it was normal. We had a really good discussion. He was the first one up, I believe, or second one up. Pete gets it, and he's modern, and I think he knows how to navigate, and he knows what he needs to do to navigate. I think he is the appropriate leader to usher Notre Dame into whatever this modern next iteration is going to be. Here's the other thing, man. I know this is a big deal to me. Maybe you could relate. Tell me if you don't. I know exactly where Pete stands on things. Too many times I found myself sitting there wondering if Jack got the full picture or not. And even if he did, 100%. He almost went out of his way to make the fans think that he didn't, or he didn't want you to know that he understood. Like, I don't know if I'm wording that right, but I know exactly what Pete thinks about a lot of things. Too many times I was going, I don't know if Jack gets it or he's thinking of this in the modern forward way you need to. And that made me permanently uncomfortable.
Jack had a strong politician vibe to him that I agree. It was like almost uncomfortable. It's because you kind of like, I don't know, when it came to like, I remember what was the Manti Te'o documentary that came out? I forget what it was called, but the one that came out a couple years ago, kind of saying like Manti's side of things. Like I remember Jack was in it, and it kind of felt like he was just like the university under his helm kind of just threw Manti under the bus. You know what I mean? And kind of like, I kind of like had no fault in it or whatever. I know that he didn't really know what was going on, but still just like, oh, this is Manti. This has nothing to do with us. And like ever since then, I've had a weird vibe with Jack from just his words. But yeah, he has like this politician-y feel to him, whereas Pete, you know, he's youthful and he kind of seems like a businessman, or he is a businessman. He has like that business thing about him where it's like, what does it take to get this done? Let's do it. Where like Jack seems like bureaucratic in the sense of like, well, we're going to get this done on my time. And not to say, I mean, what I saw, he had like 12 championships brought to Notre Dame. That's all well and good. I understand that.
Yeah, but if it's not football, your legacy's capped if it's not football. And he knows that, and everybody knows that. I don't care if you win 80 women's basketball championships in a row. Football moves the needle. If you're the AD at Notre Dame and you don't win in football, your legacy's going to be capped. Jack totally understands that. He did do a lot of good things, but I'm telling you this, man. It's a personality thing. Jack was quirky. Jack is naturally standoffish. He's not the most comfortable social orator. And Pete is. Pete just gives off a welcoming, open vibe. And I like it. And I'm telling you, he gets it, man. Pete understands this. And it's a damn good thing because life's going to get more complicated, all right, with all these changes. Oh, yeah. And he needs to steer Notre Dame down a sure path. But I feel good about it, man. Pete he gets up there and says, Notre Dame's got to win another championship. Like, he's very direct about putting it out there, and I love it.
Well, isn't it funny how it almost identically mirrors the situation with like the head coaches, Jack and Brian versus Marcus and Pete, where, you know, like Jack has the same kind of things with Brian Kelly. You're kind of uncomfortable with the way the way he presents himself. He kind of speaks bureaucratically, kind of dances around the question. Whereas Pete and Marcus, they're both, you know, kind of different feel to them, younger, youthful, will answer you straight up and know what needs to be done. And will say, yes, it's all about getting back to a place of winning the national championship versus, oh, winning's hard. We're going to do it this way, my way. You know what I mean? So it's kind of weird how, and I think that it's moving in a great direction. And I said the same thing when NIL became a thing. I was like, if you want to get into this game where a university like Notre Dame with huge alumni donors and huge facilities for everything, I mean, there's no shortage of money that's coming into the University of Notre Dame, that's for sure. And I mean, everybody who's an alumni from Notre Dame, they have that success about them and sets you up for life. If you want to get into this game of, you know, compensating people and instead of paying athletics, anybody in athletics like employees, Notre Dame's not going to have a problem with that. And it's just going to add more like fuel to the fire. I think Notre Dame's trending in a great direction, whereas they were stagnant for many years because it was just kind of a stubbornness. Whether it's good or bad, we're going to do it by the Notre Dame way. But now Notre Dame's going to have to shift the Notre Dame way to be modern. And I feel like we have everything in place to do that.
Yeah, it's, I'm telling you, man, you see all this stuff trending. Notre Dame's modernizing in a lot of off the field ways. The NIL and stuff's getting more robust. They're figuring out ways to get different flexibilities from the portal and the transfer type thing. Like, there's a lot of things. You're getting the new building built, shovels in the ground finally. Everything's trending in a direction I like. It's just got to match up on the field for it to ultimately matter. And that's the last piece. It's got to all match. See progress in a lot of areas. I was begging for progress, but it's got to end in results.
I think we got the last piece, to be honest. I think Mike Denbrock, I think that's it. I honestly, do. I think with the way he recruits, his offense he brings, I don't see Denbrock leaving, and I really don't see Golden leaving for another college football job. I see him maybe going to the NFL, but I think,
dude,
as long as they're here,
bro,
with Marcus at the helm, I think that we're there.
It wouldn't surprise me at all if Denbrock and Golden retired or went into like low stress analyst roles, either in the league or in college. Like, both of those guys have no egos. They're past using. I'm sick of guys using Notre Dame as a leverage up, like a stepping stool up, and then they're out and using it for that. These are guys that want to be in Notre Dame because they love Notre Dame. They want to support Freeman.
Yeah.
They're not just trying to parlay this into a head coaching job. They're not doing that. They want to make it about Marcus and just do their jobs. And it warms my heart because it demonstrates a level of humility that is rare in this sport these days. And I love it. Love it.
If Denbrock wanted a head coaching job, he would have got one last year easily. Probably at a lot of probably at some decent size, not just a group of five, probably at some Power 5 schools. I just forget all who had head coach vacancies. But Denbrock, of course, would have done that. But he wants, like you said, he wants to be at Notre Dame. I don't see them. I mean, they're kind of, I wouldn't say they're necessarily in the twilight of their careers, but they aren't in the start of their careers either. And I feel like if they like where they're at, they're getting compensated well enough. And then we turn the recruiting up. The defense is already a top 5 defense, and it's going to be better this year. We are losing some secondary pieces with Cam Hart was just a stud, but I mean BMO, Xavier Watts, Christian Gray's he's the man. And then I think the defensive line is going to be nasty.
Yeah.
Howard Cross, R.J. Oben, Riley Mills. Linebacker, it could go either way. I think we have some veteran talent. We have some new youth on there. But then if that offense, if it even looks, think of Notre Dame was a record-setting offense in the sense of yards per game and things like that last year under Jared Parker and Sam Hartman. Now, not taking away from Sam Hartman, I just think he was kind of like a system QB. I use that lightly, but I feel like he was. And then Jared Parker, I mean, he didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah.
He knew more than the average Joe, but it showed. Yeah, and he stuck to his game plan no matter what.
Yeah.
Denbrock, I mean, we've already seen it from spring. We've seen we have passes that are actually going over the middle of the field. We're testing the boundary. The wide receiver room's better. If Riley Leonard stays healthy and can push the ball vertically down the field, I'm telling you guys, this isn't I hope we beat A&M and Florida State. If all this comes together, I don't know who's stopping us till the Final Four.
Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby.
It's going to be dynamic. I'm telling you.
Oh,
Riley
man.
Leonard, look what he did with Duke.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's going to be a big year. It's the needle mover. Anything on the way out, man? Thanks for giving me a call. We'll go live Sunday night. Call again if you want. Enjoy the long weekend. Anything on the way out?
No, I'll be in Vegas, so I don't know if I'll
be on your best behavior. Be on your best behavior, sir. Behave yourself out there.
Coming with me.
Okay.
I'll behave myself. Don't worry. There's no fear and loathing out there.
Yeah, there you go. Well, then she'll keep you on the right track, man. Hey, enjoy it, have fun, and give me a call next time. All right.
You too. Have a good Memorial Day, and God bless our troops.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that. 260 is going to be the last call. I don't know what this episode turned into, man. This has been a wild journey from 9 a.m. till now. Tom, you walked in, you missed a lot. You don't even want to know, I don't think, what you missed. John, do you watch the NFL? By the way, I do mean what I say. I can't do it today. I have other meetings, things I got to do. You could call in and we could debate this morality and do all this sometime, and I will literally give you that. Or we don't even have to do it on a live stream. If you don't want all the chats going during, I'll have you on and I'll record you, just me and you on an episode and have you do it. I'm dead serious. I'm happy to have this debate. Do you watch the NFL? How do you think their morals align with yours? Where's the consistency? Couple differences here. Number one is I have no strong connection to any NFL team. So it doesn't matter. I watch every Bears game, but I don't care. I have no There's no part of who I am as a person tied to what the Bears do in any way. My entire family's identity is wrapped into Notre Dameness and the Irish Catholic thing and all the values and expectations that come with that. I have none of that with NFL teams. There's no NFL team that's based around religion as a fundamental standpoint and building block of what it's all about. So again, you struggle with what's apples to apples and what isn't, and you pick and choose what makes you feel better about it. Okay? So there's no strand that connects any of this to any deeper meaning other than on the gridiron with the NFL. So no. You also were saying, I'm sure you watch movies and listen to music from bad people. Where's your morality on that? They don't. The underpinning of all of that doesn't start with morals. It does at Notre Dame. The whole Catholic thing and how to treat people and all those values. That's the struggle here. You're comparing a lot of things and you're ignoring the key point. Is that all of that morality stuff is the foundation of what Notre Dame is. And I know that comes off like, oh, holier than thou, Notre Dame's the religion people. Like, I know that it comes off a way you don't like, but that's the difference between my relationship with Notre Dame and movies or TV and music and the NFL. None of those things have, that is an underpinning. $260. Where do you want to go? Last call of the day. Man, it's been a journey. Here we go. What's going on, man?
Oh, man, I'm in a lot better shape than the last time I called you. So I just wanted to start it off with the Michigan hat clown in the chat, and he wants to talk about morality. Yeah. Let's just look at Matt Weiss arrested for cyber crimes for some pictures on his laptop, and U.S. Integrity is investigating up there, and I have heard grumblings that Harbaugh might get a lifetime suspension from the NCAA.
Well, what good does it do now? What good does it do now? He got a pay raise and he's living by the ocean. What good does it do to ban the guy now?
But
it's hilarious to me. It's hilarious.
But what I'm saying is, John, is if there is gambling involved, any aspect at all, with U.S. Integrity investigating Michigan, if he has any knowledge of that, the NFL is going to give him the axe. And
the NFL is? But again, none of this solves any of my complaints. He already got away with it, already won it, and it isn't going to matter to me if he gets booted out of the NFL. I'm just going to be mad forever. And I'm going to hold a grudge forever. And yes, it's immature. Yes, I need to get over it. Yes, I sound like a crybaby. I don't care. I don't like these people.
I totally agree with you. And then they're going to be handing out show causes as well. So I think Michigan is probably going to be on the market for a new head coach.
That is a big question. Hey, that's a big question. You're telling me that Sherrone Moore didn't know what was going on? Are you out of your mind? How stupid do you think I am? That you want me to believe Sherrone Moore didn't know any of this shit was going on? How stupid do you think people are?
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying this for the hat guy in the chat. But you know, and Ward Emanuel's going to get the axe too because of what went on with the hockey team, and Juwan Howard with his misgivings up there as well. But Michigan is going to be cast off into the ether. But
I'm not so certain. I'm not so certain. I hope so, but I have doubts. We'll see. We'll see.
And then you brought up Texas A&M, and they're just as bad
not on the football side of things, but as far as the whole thing went down with those 3 guys getting arrested and charged, 3 other girls basketball players arrested for possession. So the Texas A&M fans need to temper themselves a little bit at coming at Notre Dame. But
dude, I'm scared
saying,
of those people. Listen, I'm genuinely telling you this at the end of this monster show we had covering all. I'm genuine, dude. Texas A&M scares me. I'm telling you, their culture. There's something going on down there that it's not right. Like I have a sense. There's vibes. There's something very bizarre about what goes on down there, and I'm really uncomfortable with it. And every day and every time I turn around, there's more evidence. These people are weird. I'm just telling you, hide your kids, hide your wife when you go to that game as a Notre Dame fan. I don't trust these weirdos. Make sure you have eyesight on your kids at all time. These people are cultist weirdos. Watch your family.
Right. And and look into the parents of those kids that were arrested as well.
Yeah.
Just on your own time.
Yeah.
And I just cannot, whenever I started looking into it, that's what I found in 15 minutes and just doing a Google search while I was on hold.
Yeah.
So
it's scary stuff, man. It is bizarre.
Right. And I just, Texas A&M, I wouldn't be shocked if they don't start getting investigated by the NCAA of just what's going on down there. And one of the guys that is a leader in that fraternity or whatever, it just came to light a couple of days ago after the arrest that he's I believe, registered on the no-no list.
Yeah.
So
I'm telling you, there's something, the culture with this school there's something weird, man. And I don't know. I don't like it. It makes me very uncomfortable. So can we just go there, beat the shit out of them, and then I don't have to worry about it anymore for a year? Can we just do that? They deserve it.
Yes.
Good answer.
Yes.
What a good answer. That's the answer I was looking for. Thank you.
Yes.
Like that's the answer I was fishing for. Yes. Thank you.
Yes. It's just it'll make everything better. And then, hopefully the offense comes out there, plays well as I'm anticipating, but it's just a wild scene down there. And then they do the cultish midnight yell. I don't know if you've ever seen those.
Yeah,
videos,
they are.
But
it is. Those videos are one step away from Chris Hansen saying, "Why don't you have a seat for me over there?" Okay. I can't handle it. Bro, I just get vibes. There's some creepy stuff in their culture that I'm not okay with. Okay. And I come from like a religious school that has its own traditions and stuff people disagree with over time, and bad things have happened. And I'm very well aware that worked in that world for a dozen years at the diocese. Trust me, I know how to identify weird shit that isn't right that's going on in your culture better than most people. And my spidey sense is going off.
After there ain't more kids that come forward over the summer.
Jesus.
And
it's very upsetting.
The parent of that an open lawsuit against everything that's going on down there.
Yeah, it's really, really a rough scene. And I want Notre Dame to win the good fight off the field. And I want Notre Dame to win the good fight on the field. People do not believe me. I genuinely mean this. If Notre Dame wins it, but they're doing it the wrong way, I can't embrace that. This only works for me to get the final payoff of the mission of this show if Notre Dame wins it. And I know they did it clean and in the right way you're supposed to do it in Notre Dame's values. That's the only way. I don't want it any other way. I don't want corners cut. I don't want the assistants being perverts. I don't want any of this. Just win it normal.
Right. And I couldn't agree more, because whenever there's any type of scandal at all, your program is tainted. And, just, diving into the Michigan stuff and all the things that I hear, and then now this Texas A&M stuff, it makes me want to go take a bath.
Yeah, it's well, watch out if you do that. They'll probably have a camera in there. All right, man. I got some other meetings here at 11:30. I gotta get going. Anything on the way out? Thanks for the call.
I'll throw another recruit out there. David Sanders Jr. Watch his recruiting and how that plays out. And John, the reason when I called the last time, I knew ahead of time that the lawsuit was coming against Billy Napier. That's why I told you to look into the parking lot at Florida.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting too, to see how that's going to work out. That's going to be really, really interesting. It's all complicated. And, when money's involved, man, all sorts of stuff happens when money's involved. Hey, thanks a lot for rounding out the show today, man. I appreciate it. We'll go live, I think, Sunday night. Give me a call back if you want then.
Okay. And just one more thing. Pay attention to the James Franklin stuff up there in Creepy Valley. Pay attention to that and watch how that goes.
Interesting. And now I will, because you've been accurate so far when you're dropping these lines. Feel free to keep them coming, okay?
All right, John. Have a good one.
Thanks a lot, buddy. Yeah, that guy's got some inside contacts, because the things he said has come true. Tom says Sunday night, yes. Tomorrow night, we're going to a fish fry, pool party thing, whatever. I want to be able to relax, drink some beer, not have to come back, go on the air. Sunday night, since it's a holiday and everybody's off Monday, I think we're going to do Sunday night call in, probably the normal time, 8 o'clock. And we're going to have ourselves some fun, and we'll do a call in then. That'll be a good fit. And then, cause most people don't have to work Monday. So that's what I think the plan is. Next thing you'll probably see from me, you guys, is tomorrow when Zachary makes his announcement, I'm going to release a video right when that happens. So whenever that is, tomorrow afternoon, does anybody know if there's a time? I have not gotten a time. It just says tomorrow afternoon. Is there a time that Zachary's going to officially announce his commitment? If anybody knows it, let me know, because I'm probably going to be in a pool or with beers at somebody's house trying to hang out or whatever. But whenever that happens, we'll release a video. Really wide-ranging show today. I got to be honest. Sometimes I don't mind digging into the deep stuff that's a little more serious and having a talk about that, because I think it's actually important to discuss some of those things sometimes. Michigan hat guy, it may be better product if me and you recorded without going live. So you don't have the chat riding you or whatever, and we could debate without some of that going on, and I could give you more time without a bunch of people waiting to get on the line and everything. Consider that. I'd be willing to do that and have a genuine debate about all this stuff. But it crossed my mind that may be a more effective use of this. So I don't know. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for calling. Thank you all just for the community, man. Donating, everything. I love this show. The radio show is my favorite thing I do. I love being with the people. I love the unpredictable nature of it. I love all of it, man. I love doing this show. So thank you, everybody, for making it a part of your week. One more message on the way out. Memorial Day is a bad drinking and driving weekend. My cemetery past experience tells me that. It's when the cops have a lot of roadblocks set up at normal areas in your suburb. At least in the Chicago suburbs, they do that all the time, and they have roadblocks or whatever. It's a very bad weekend to drink and drive. Just don't do it. Sit at home and drink your face off and don't drive. It ain't that hard, okay? Be safe. Have fun. We'll talk to you probably Sunday night. See ya. Maybe if I can hit the button. There we go.